Hey guys, welcome back to another video on this channel. We are beginning with critical international relations theory. The term critical theory refers to post-positivist theories such as feminism, post-structuralism, constructivism, and post-colonialism, which are united in their critique of the mainstream, mainly of neorealism. But today's video is directly focused on the critical theory originating from Frankfurt School and the work of Jürgen Habermas. Critical theory can generally be traced back to the Frankfurt School. The origins lay in the establishment of the Institute of Social Research at the University of Frankfurt, 1923. Frankfurt School thinking was inspired by Marxist and Western Marxist theorizing, but they sought to revise and reformulate many key understandings of these strands of thought. This school was part of the regeneration of critical thinking in social sciences due to fascism, the development of world economic crisis, the New Deal, and the degeneration of the Russian Revolution into Stalinism. Well-known theorists of the Frankfurt School include philosophers such as Max Horkheimer, Theodor Adorno, Herbert Marcuse, Eric, and second-generation theorists such as Jürgen Habermas and third-generation scholar Axel Honneth. The first-generation theorists of the Frankfurt School not only sought to revise the orthodox Marxism, but also draw on aesthetics and cultures to understand the pervasive tendencies or influence of authoritarianism and conformism. In the book Traditional and Critical Theory, Horkheimer first formulated a key theoretical move on the difference between traditional and critical theory. He argued that the traditional scientific theories' methodological separation between fact and value was based on a pre-given, unexamined conception of social reality. Because of this, it had led to rigid rationality that limited and suppressed a meaningful engagement with the open-ended possibilities of social and political change. In Dialectic of Enlightenment, Horkheimer and Theodor Adorno initiated important reflections on the role of the culture industry. They claimed that this new culture industry marked the emergence of a totalizing capitalist force of manipulating one's desire via consumerism. Habermas, on the other hand, formulated a key theory of dialogical ethics. His view was the progressive element of reason. It could be realized and in the struggle to reach mutual understanding that required voluntary or unforced dialogue among citizens. Now, his theory in particular has come to play a significant role in the development of critical theory. Development of critical international relations theory could be said to arise in two phases. The early phase. Early critical IR theorists were Robert Cox, Richard Ashley, and Mark Hoffman. The central concern for these theorists was epistemological, meaning how we know things. For example, how did the deep structures of international system emerge in the first place? Because realists had treated the anarchical structure as given, they also ignored the origins and social content of these structures, that is, the social determinants of states' interests and motives for interaction. In other words, states were not merely units or objective entities, they were also subjective agents whose political and social interests were shaped by their interaction with other agents and changing social and historical circumstances. Now, the latter phase. Pragmatic-minded critical theorists, they indeed focused on questions of dialogue and dialogical ethics, questions of political community and recognition, and an interest in political economy. In the book The Transformation of Political Community, Andrew Linklater, his emphasis on dialogue was intended to situate Habermas' discursive ethics within the normative strand of critical IR theory and to prop social origins and evolution of norms and laws against serious harm in IR. Here, three key elements are crucial. The normative domain, its emphasis on dialogue and dialogical ethics as well as move towards world community. The sociological domain encompasses the social determinants of international structure of the international state system. Then the praxeological domain, the action and task of implementing and enforcing the principles of justice, freedom, and equality. Next, Axel Honneth's theory of the struggle of recognition. He stresses how societal conflicts between groups arise from moral injuries. It is triggered by withholding of respect and honor. Uh, it was about how the withholding of recognition of a person's group's value and dignity can lead to the distrust that erodes empathy. Then we have Thomas Reese. His path-breaking article remained the most influential application of Habermas's discursive ethics and an important catalyst in the development of Habermas's ideas in the international relations. It involves the formulation of the logic of communication to bridge rationalist and constructivist approach, develops discursive elements of communicative action, moral argumentation, and reasoning within the context of decision making frameworks of international institutions, international law, diplomacy, and the balance of power. Reese is able to explain the constitutive function of anarchy here, which is a source of interest and values and strategies that offer the social context of state action and the discursive requirements for arriving at rational consensus in the decision making process of international institutions. Uh, Habermas's thought has been very important here. It has provided the cornerstone for development of theoretical interpretations of dialogue and ethics in international politics. Many critics continue, however, to question how precisely to understand communicative action and dialogue in international politics today. Here, difficulties in cultural and moral conflicts and consequential non or misrecognition of participants, as well as the lack of a fundamentally democratic forum for dialogue among global actors, is among the most common challenges. Nonetheless, both strands of critical theorizing commit to the embodying of underrepresented actors and voices in IR and are therefore concerned with exposing various sources of oppression. Ontological, epistemological, and methodological plurality in theorizing is therefore inherent to such approaches. Next, we have critical security studies, which is an offshoot of the critical theory. The central aim of critical security studies, CSS, which emerged in the mid 1990s, is to develop a eminent critique of security policy and strategy to show how traditional mainstream approaches suppress cultural and social, historical, and humanistic elements in the international security. Conventional status quo security studies, they assume that threats arise from perceived imbalances of military capabilities and competitions between and among states. These are assumptions based on fixed rationalist assessments of security threats. Now, critical security theories, they argue that such rationalist assessments, they fail to demonstrate how such threats are constructed or how these threats derive from cultural, social, and political understanding. Um, the theorist Richard Jones, for example, he argues that the traditional security studies remains an applied research tool rooted in instrumental reason. Also, in an insightful study of the context of missile defense, Columba Peoples argues that justifying missile defense reflects a long standing effort to staticize or naturalize the symbols, means, and representations of security. His point, of course, is that humanizing security strategies is a collective holistic effort, one that reflects a nuanced understanding of the cultural symbols that constructs and changes the meaning of these strategies. It is basically this idea of critical security studies that calls attention to the concrete possibilities of situating the meaning of security within the larger open ended project of emancipation. With that, we have come to the end of this theory. Please give it a thumbs up if the video was helpful. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thank you for watching. See you next time.